Peace. We are live now on YouTube as well as Facebook. We want to go ahead and get started. First, start with our salutation in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. All praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds. We thank Him for making His divine intervention in our affairs in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, to whom praise are forever due. And we thank Him for His exalted Christ, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And we further thank him, and we are eternally grateful to Allah and the most honorable Elijah Muhammad for his divine servant and divine reminder in our midst, a faithful warner, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. It is with their names that I greet you, our brothers in the listening audience, and those sisters and whoever may be tuned in to our broadcast tonight. With the greeting words of peace, we said in the Arabic language, the language of our forefathers, of As-salam alaikum. In English, it simply means peace be unto you. Tonight, we begin with a simple question. Who is really in control? The thought came to me earlier that if the circumstances that surround us are in control, then our behavior is controlled based on the circumstances, and we do not possess self control. If people can make you angry, you do not have self control. If lust can govern your decision, you do not have self control. If our appetites control our body, we do not have self control. If your temper controls your tongue, your money controls your moral, then someone else is living inside of you. Someone else is controlling you. And that is not real freedom. That is remote control. The enemy has mastered the science of manipulating our people through corrupt stimuli, through images, through music, through pornography, through consumerism, through fear, through anger, through lies, through engineered distractions. He has learned that if he can control what enters the mind, he can eventually control the man. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan coined the phrase beautifully. He said, "He who supplies the diameter of your thinking controls the circumference of your activity." This is why the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan gave us these wonderful study guides, and he teaches in Study Guide 18 that we must rise above emotions into the thinking of God. Process that. Because whenever emotions rule over the brother, somebody else is driving your life. You know, it makes me think about how the enemy can just walk up and call us an N-word, and then we snap out and we go crazy, not realizing that he just gained control over us by just simply using a word. Just something to think about. The Holy Quran says, indeed, Allah does not change the condition of a people until they change what is within themselves. Quran 13 and 11. Now, notice something. Allah did not say that he would change the government first. He did not say that he would change the neighborhood first. He said change begins within. Self-control is an internal process. It is an inner command. It is a self-government. It is self-mastery. So, brothers, imagine being a grown man and you cannot control your appetite. You eat until your body breaks down. You cannot control your sexual desires. You cannot control your tongue. You cannot control your anger. You cannot control your spending. You cannot control your emotions. That's not manhood. That is a mechanical existence. You are simply reacting to whatever button the world pushes. And if you pay real close attention, the enemy is working diligently to keep our attention and keep feeding us these stimuli that will keep us distracted away from the promise of God, the great future that's in front of us. Success. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that the black man is the original man. Think over that. Since that is the truth, then why would we allow a lesser world to master a greater man, especially when we are in possession of supreme wisdom? The very nature of God within us is self-control. The self is the divine nature within. God governs, God creates, God orders, God does not react, God initiates. So every time we discipline ourselves, we reflect the divine nature that is within us. The Bible says, he that is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he that ruleth his spirit than he that taketh a whole city. Proverbs 16:32. Think about that. According to this scripture, conquering yourself is a greater victory than conquering an entire city. The enemy's world survives by mastering the thoughts, labor, resources, creativity, physical power of the original man. His civilization depends upon controlling us. But a man who governs himself cannot be governed by corruption. A man who's self-disciplined cannot be manipulated by propaganda. He cannot be bought. He cannot be intimidated. He cannot be seduced away from his purpose. The supreme wisdom lessons tell us big fields await the wide awake man to work out. I ask the question, where are those big fields? And I humbly submit the answer, a thought that came to me, that the greatest field is not outside of us, it is within. These are the big fields that await us once we wake up to work out our personal salvation. Inside every disciplined man is an undiscovered kingdom waiting to be cultivated. Inside every man who develops self-government is unlimited potential waiting to be released. So, brothers, this discussion is not theoretical. When you consider the Department of Justice and Bureau statistics, black men are incarcerated at several times the rate of white men. And homicide remains one of the leading causes of death for young black males. While the overwhelming majority of black men are not violent offenders, think over that. Many of the crimes that devastate our community begins with the absence of self-mastery, uncontrolled anger, uncontrolled impulses, unresolved trauma, addiction, retaliation, and emotional reaction rather than disciplined thought. That is why this discussion matters so much, because every prison cell, every broken family, every violent retaliation, every addiction, every destroyed relationship first passed through a moment where self-control was lost. So, brothers, if we cannot govern ourselves, we cannot govern our homes, we cannot govern our homes, we cannot govern our homes, we cannot govern our communities. And if we cannot govern our communities, we cannot build a nation. So tonight we start really with a question. What are the greatest stimuli causing black men to lose self-control today? Is it social media? Is it pornography? Is it unresolved trauma? Is it music? Is it ego? Is it greed? Is it the pursuit of pleasure without purpose? Or has the enemy become so successful that we no longer recognize when we are being programmed? Because until we identify what is controlling us or what is manipulating us, we will not start the process effectively in gaining control over ourselves. So we welcome you, our dear brothers, to We Must First Be Brothers. Our topic tonight is very significant on the subject of self-control. You can't even be an effective brother if you don't gain mastery over yourself. We have an acronym that we often state in the teachings, Islam: I self, Lord, am master. So the goal of life is to really gain mastery over ourselves. When we gain mastery over ourselves, then we can forge union with other brothers who are gaining mastery over themselves. And then we can begin to build effectively, successfully, that which will help our people, help our nation, help make our community safe and decent places to live. So I'm excited tonight, very grateful to Allah for being here again and having this opportunity to spend with our brothers and those who may be listening as we dig into some of these deep topics, these kind of topics that you don't normally just have in the public arena. You just don't normally have a topic on self-control and brotherhood and how it relates to our people. These are the issues that we're suffering from. Uh, Uncontrolled behaviors. So again, we welcome you. I want to pass it over to one of our illustrious brothers, Brother Louis Ali from the South. It's good to see you here, brother, and just let you have your opening words. I see we got scholars on the horn today, Brother Tony, and I see Brother Tyrone. But we want to just keep it moving, brothers, and just dig into this discussion, because I think it's important that we examine this, because we're losing a lot of lives today. And then we're in a very, very hostile time period, Brother Lewis. You know, we're in a serious time period, you know, and the time period that we're in, it requires that we have some level of discipline and control over ourselves. We can't be irrational. We can't just react to every stimuli that comes our way. We have to be disciplined. And that's one of the most beautiful, beautiful things that we gain from the teachings of Honorable Elijah Muhammad, was to start this process where we would begin to discipline ourselves. So I just want to hand it over to you, my dear brother, and you get your thoughts on this as we get ready to dig into this discussion even further. And thank you.
Michael, can you hear me?
Slightly. Okay, good. I don't know. A little bit. I hear you. It just sounds a little off there. Talk now.
Huh?
Okay, I hear you now. Okay.
Okay, good.
Oh,
beautiful
perfect.
introduction. Beautiful introduction. So happy that we have these weekly shows that are based on the book, We Must First Be Brothers.
Yes.
And if you don't have a copy of the book, be sure to get a copy of We Must First Be Brothers, along with the Final Call newspaper.
Absolutely.
These books are designed to raise the conscious level of our people, which leads right into what we're talking about, Brother Michael.
Yes.
About really, to be honest about it, you can't control what you don't know.
That's right.
See? You can't protect what you can't control. So all of us should check in to the NOI self-development courses, which is the basis for community development.
That's right.
To learn and get a thorough knowledge of self. Know thyself. In knowing yourself, we begin the process of being able to control ourselves.
Teach.
The overwhelming majority of the people who we come into contact with, they do react to outside stimulus because there's not an internal base for them to discern what is really coming up out of them versus what is being put into them by an external enemy. Now, the external enemy can only gain sway over us when we don't have control over the forces of nature that are inside of us.
Teach.
Being an ex-fireman, they taught us about how to put a fire out and what the atmosphere pressure was. And it's been a while since I came through the fire academy, but I think it was around 14 and a half pounds, 14.7 pounds. All right. And so there's always pressure on everything in this atmosphere. But there's a greater pressure inside of us that keeps us balanced. When there's nothing developed great inside of you, then it's so easy to sway you off your post. Anchoring, to be anchored and to have a benchmark of morality and decency placed inside of us and well stimulated and well endowed inside of us is what Minister Farrakhan helped us develop. And we're still in the process of development, but we're way down the road in comparison to the overwhelming majority of the original people and all people really on this planet. To be able to experiment with the high explosives of emotion, Brother Michael, that's wrapped up inside of our mind for years. I had never heard prior to joining the Nation of Islam of anyone ever telling me that I should rise above emotions into the thinking of God. I didn't know it would be possible that we would be allowed to get up into the mind of the Creator himself.
Come on, come on.
See, this is why what Minister Farrakhan has given us is so precious, and we must study it. Think about it.
Yes.
Dr. Francis Quest Wilson said, self-respect is the foundation of justice. Well, we're always marching and picketing and talking about from the enemy how we want justice. And if he don't give us justice, we're not going to have peace without justice. But there's some internal work that we've been greatly unjust to ourselves in this area.
Come on, brother. Come on.
Let's look at some of the areas where we cheated ourselves or didn't know that we were responsible for this ourselves. Did you know that eating bad food, pork chops and pig feet and pig lips and guts and chitlins and rabbit and hog and dog and frog and crawfish and shrimp and lobster and crabs and chitlins, and did you know that that was bad food? I didn't know that was bad food growing up. And I didn't know that food not only has a medicinal component to it, but also has a psychological component to it. Yeah. I noticed when I mentioned the hog, your face frowned up.
Yes, definitely.
That's because somebody taught you a civilized diet.
Yes.
A lot of people hear about a hog, their faces don't frown up because the slave master force-fed us hog. And when we got off the plantation, you know, when I got out the military, they sent me to Dover to get a debriefing. Nobody has given our people a debriefing from slavery. So the slave culture and the filth and indecency that come with the slave culture, we have to be washed and purified.
Yes.
And that's why you taking these serious topics, self-control, and then pointing out that the minister has already given us the new Islam.
Yes.
And it's hidden right there in the acronym, I, self, Lord, and Master.
Lord and Master.
God gave me permission to master and govern myself, and I choose obedience. And I have the study guides to continue in the process of knowing myself well enough to discover the God within myself. Now, I'll stop after this, but me and Brother John were talking about today the different attributes of Allah and how they are manifest and tucked away and hidden in all of our brothers and our sisters.
Absolutely.
And we are tasked with the assignment to help pull these jewels that don't necessarily belong to that brother or that sister, but I'm the beneficiary of the gift that God put into you, Brother Michael.
Preach.
Brother Hoyle and Brother Carlton and Brother Tony,
yes.
Every one of us have some of these attributes. Some of us have more. And how we marvel at what's under the earth in Africa, and we got all of these treasures. Yes. But how we want to go into the earth and pull all of these treasures out because there's wealth there, okay? But there's treasures in you, Brother Michael.
Absolutely.
And great. Hopefully there are a few treasures
yes, there
in
are.
me. And absolutely. This is why people who have come into a higher consciousness and a higher knowledge of self, they're not envious.
That's right.
Because they know whatever is in the earth or is in the brother or in the sister, it belongs to me also.
That's
I'm
right.
a beneficiary. You know, they always, when you make this transition, they want to know who are the beneficiaries.
Yes.
And if anything was left for them. Well, God put something in each and every one of us.
That's right.
For the brothers and sisters who share company with or who we're around. So I'm going to stop right there, Brother Mike.
Very beautiful, Brother Lewis. Wonderful. Really, really just a wonderful way to help, to carry us into this discussion, because it's exactly where we need to go, especially when we talk about what the minister gave us in the study guides. Those study guides are so profound. And I think so many of us, even as believers, we look over them, like the scriptures say, we strain at a gnat and try to swallow a camel. We looking everywhere for things that will help us to grow, but it's right there, because it's the tool that will allow us to travel within ourselves. So in our prayer, we say, Indina Sarat al-Mustaqim, which is guide us in your straight path. Well, that path is not outside of ourselves. Not that we ourselves are the straight path, but that journey is an internal journey. And it's a journey where we are working to discipline and align ourselves. And you said it so beautifully, in obedience. You see, we have to become obedient. We have to become obedient to what is written in our nature, the righteousness of our own nature. So if you consider, one of the lessons says that Yaqub, when he was making his grafted man, that he taught him lying, go over that, stealing, and how to master the original man. It's interesting, like in this season where there's war on the horizon and storms and all kinds of things that are happening, we're at a real transitional period in our history. And then the enemy would put out a song and he would say, well, where the boosters at? Where are all my boosters at? And the music is so attractive that in the jingle just draws you right in and just draws our people right in. And we don't even realize that we are moving and dancing to satanic vibrations. In fact, quite a bit of the music that we grew up on that we thought was okay was satanic vibrations, programming us to lean in the negative energetic realms, programming us to look negatively at women, look negatively at our brother, look negatively at our people, not programming us to see ourselves in the proper light. This is why this kind of discussion is so important, because so many young people are still growing up in a society right now where their self-view is horrible. It's a terrible self-view. So if you don't see yourself as anything valuable, then you will abuse yourself in the way of what you're putting into your body. Just think over this, that we were given how to eat to live. There was a reason why he gave us these kind of sciences that will allow us to discipline what we put in our mouth so that we can start taking over our physical self. And once you start taking over your physical self and your spiritual self, you're on the path. You're on the path. You're in the straight. Now you're moving in the straight path, but you still need guidance in that path. You know, you need to be guided, you know, and directed in that straight path. But when you mention the attributes, which is one of my favorite things, you know, for us to study in this subject of brotherhood, because to me, Brother Lewis, is the pinnacle of what will allow us to really become brothers, is when I can learn who is God. You see, this is all relevant to self-control, you know, because we're talking about self. What is the self? The self is the nature of God in the man, in the black man. But when you study those attributes, that he's Al-Alim, he's Al-Azim, the mighty, Al-Alim, the all-knowing, you know, Al-Hakim, the all-wise, you know, and then you realize, then you start seeing wisdom come out of your brother. You're not seeing wisdom independent of God coming out of your brother. You're seeing God come through your brother. You're seeing might come through your brother, intelligence come through your brother. You're seeing a defender, a warrior come through your brother. You are seeing God. And so these are very important thought processes for us to have, because what we have today is what we have is a freak off. They try to make Sean Combs the you know, the architecture of it, you know, to try to make him the top dog, if you will, of freak off, but it's really been the system of the enemy for the whole time. It's not just the sexual freak off, it's now we foodies. It's the food freak off, it's the sex freak off, it's the spend money freak off. It's anything that will allow you to just lose control and lose discipline, and that becomes the acceptable norm in society. It's crashing out. Our young people now crashing out in the community. This is why we got to really dig deep into this subject of self-control, self-mastery, and understanding the stimuli and what the enemy is doing in a season such as the one that we're in. So I know we got other brothers on this call, and we really want to dig in, you know, because it's definitely something that we need to teach our people and make our people aware. You want to say something, Brother Lewis? Go ahead.
You said something, and it's very important. It kind of triggered a thought. You can't gain proper control without submission to the God within and to our God.
That's right.
Because
that's right.
You prove your righteousness and your love for our God by fighting his enemy,
right,
the devil, within and without. See, some of us, we really want to integrate with the devil. And we want to find a way to get along with the devil. We want to be friends with the devil. We like the devil.
Love the devil.
Now take it any way you wanna. But Muhammad didn't want to fight in the beginning. So you try to get around it. You don't want to fight. Person and his study dominating you. They are in control. Because you don't want to fight.
That's right.
See? He's evil and he's filthy and he's indecent, but you don't want to say nothing about it because that might offend somebody. You don't want to throw a stone at Satan. Look at what the scriptures say, Brother Michael. We were born in sin. What? Born in sin? It didn't say our nature as original people was sin. It says we were born in sin and shaped in iniquity. Do you know what iniquity is? Iniquity is above average, out of control wickedness. That's iniquity. And the minister said, wickedness is the mother of hatred. Don't matter if you black and I'm black. If we wicked, we're bound to hate each other. That's how thick hatred is. And it all boils down to you not wanting to fight for your right to submit to God. What? The Muslims got a song, they say, we are fighting for Islam.
Teach.
And we will surely win with our Savior Allah, the universal King. See, rise up and fight the devil. And this is something that many of us just don't want to do. Right. So when we see filth and indecency, and it's in all of our families, we try to sit around people who offer you some weed. You've been a Muslim for 20 years. What the hell they offering you weed for? Hey, man, Mike, you want something to smoke? You know, you used to get down back 25 years ago. You know, roll a few little joints with me. Man, ain't nobody going, yeah, I'm cool with what Farrakhan talking about. But, man, you can smoke a little bit with your cuz, you know? See, I got heat for people like that.
Come on.
Because they're trying to drag you back into filth. And then if you slipped up and done it, some woman come around. She knew you 30 years ago. Damn, how did you find me today? But she shows up pretending. See, they can come in masculine or feminine.
Right.
But the key, I believe, to self-control is you got to break the psychological and the spiritual chains that Satan got on us. And that's why being able to discern and to point out, which Minister Farrakhan said is the hardest step of the atonement process. Point out and analyze what's wrong in you and others, but especially yourself. If you like to take a little drink of alcohol, smoke a little dope, you know, you like the girls a little bit, you know, then you're going to have to fight so that God can get rooted in you, so that you can control yourself. Now, most of us, we don't want to fight that what we love. So if you love, what's the girl, the young sister who say spin that stuff?
The Young Miami.
Then you ain't gonna throw a stone of condemnation at her behavior, because you're hoping she maybe give you a job or maybe a little more, whatever she got.
Come on.
But for you to stand up and stand firm and say, no. I used to be that kind of Negro that would get down like that. But in order to prove that I'm not that person no more, I'm going to fight the filth and indecency and evil that I used to be a party of. Some dude shows up. Hey, baby, what's your name? You know, we were both Capricorns and Pisces or Aries or whatever. Yeah, you know me. I knew you back in the day, girl. You don't owe him no. You don't owe him or her nothing. You're in a new place and in a new dispensation of time. You're going to have to fight to be free, to be responsible, to control yourself. And this is real talk.
Right.
Because most of us, we just don't want to fight. And you know, black people back in the day, we would fight if somebody called our sister the B word. See?
Right.
Now, most of our sisters, or many of our sisters, think B word is their name. They're casual with it. Hey, B, I be this, I be that. Black women, I'm blown away by that. because they used to fight
That's
over
right.
that. Or
That's
we
right.
running around here, every other word is the N word. Hanging out with a white dude, calling each other the N word, and nobody's offended. Nobody's offended. Nobody's fighting for safe space. And last point, and I'm going to give it to Brother Tony.
Yes.
As Muslims, we debated and we fought for what the truth is. We weren't sitting around here trying to get along with some little Negro scholars who were pseudo-intellectuals. We studied and prepared ourselves to defend the truth, Brother Michael.
That's right, brother.
In order for us to gain control, we got to be those kind of men again.
We got to have some backbone. And what's happening, the more we compromise, the more we lose ground toward the goal of life, and that's what's happened, brother. It's not about, we're not saying that we're trying to condemn the little sister. That's not what we're saying, but we have to have some testicular fortitude to stand up to say, well, this is just not right. We can't allow that. That's why this subject is so important, because if we're being led by our penis, where every time somebody put their backside on the internet and is jumping in front of us, then we lose every sensibility that we're supposed to have and moral character, then we will never gain the kind of power that we need, that we are supposed to have, that will help us change the reality of our people. That's what we're talking about when we talk about, to brothers tonight, about self-control. It's about gaining mastery over yourself so we can stop being simped out by appetite and being misled and controlled, because that's what the devil, when you talk about devil, that's what he's doing. He is controlling you based on one thing and one thing only, and that is your low desire. However you look at devil, whatever way you want to look at it, that's the nature of what a devil does. It allows you or causes you to focus on your lower self. Brother Tony, our beloved and illustrious Brother Tony, good to see you, black man.
Brother Tony. He unmuted.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Praise be to Allah, and greetings to all of the brothers this evening, those on the platform, and everybody that's tuning in. Praise be to Allah. I was listening to the wonderful points that the brothers was some of the points you made in your introduction, Mike, and Brother Lewis made as he was delivering that unique and profound perspective, because to the original topic of discipline, when you look at our people coming out of slavery, they were not as educated as we are now, but they were more disciplined. And they were able to accomplish, we had not just Black Wall Street, we had over 60 towns like Black Wall Street, that were destroyed, because we had men who, despite education, the little education they had the discipline to utilize whatever talent that they had learned, even through the travesties of slavery, and apply those talents, gifts and talents to the benefit of our people. And we achieved so much more. And that was one of the things that we got that was so important from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. It was not so much the religiosity. What was rooted in our religiosity, as he told Malcolm when the Reader's Digest wanted to know why he was successful, he said, tell them it is our belief in God. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad did not make belief in God a religiosity. He didn't make it a traditional religion. He made the belief in God so practical, because he was a man who firmly exemplified mere belief counts for nothing except it is carried into practice. So he established us orders, and by giving us orders and rules, those orders superseded the orders and rules that this government had given us. And see, we have to understand through social engineering that there are that there are behavioral patterns that are framed for our people that they walk right into. Why do you think they have terms like from the prison, the school, the prison pipeline? Because they already know what they have introduced to you, what result it is going to produce. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, through the supremacy of his understanding of the message that he was given by God, he understood that if I can produce another action out of you, I can get another result. And that result was to get us to look at one another as gods and look at how, or direct descendants of gods, and look at how the profound impact that had on us. We were no longer looking at the quantity of life. See, people are getting caught up with the quantity of life. They want cars, they want jewelry, we want purses, we want shoes, we want all of these luxury items. Well, that's the quantity of life. But the quality of life is when the God principle comes in. And so you cannot get, as Brother Lewis didn't say, but I'm paraphrasing what he said earlier, you're not going to get the God life without the qualities of that life, and those qualities are characteristics. And so that's why it's so important, as you brothers both mentioned, to maintain a certain degree of discipline, because that discipline is what refines those qualities and those characteristics. And one of the things that we have done and we have to get away from is that religion has made us look at God as if God is somebody that we have to appeal to rather than develop into.
Come on.
So when we look at God as somebody we have to make supplication to, then we're looking at him as something, as a thing outside of himself. But if he deposited himself in us, in the human being, then he is something that we have to aspire and develop into. And so the question is, how did God get to that supremacy of himself? See, we're looking at God sometimes almost as an impossibility. And in science, we know that there are no impossibilities in this mundane universe. If, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, if the mind can conceive it, the mind can achieve it. And the law of probability tells us that what? If something can exist, then chances are it will exist or it has existed in the past. So if we say that God exists, then the probability that we can exist as God is exponentially greater in this day and time. Why? Because we have more access to the information, divine information and revelation, than they had in the past. So what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said in one of the final lectures before he departed, he said, see, I just want to teach you science. Well, why was he saying, I just want to teach you science and not religion? See, religion has done us a disservice because religion puts you in a box. It puts you in it puts us in such an adolescent box, particularly modern day religion, which is born out of the mind of Caucasian people who never understood the divinity of the original people. You see what I'm saying? See, a lot of people don't know that when King James got those, it was actually 54 scholars, but it was 47 who did the writings of transliterating the Bible. They were not trying to do something malicious. What they were trying to do was they were trying to dumb down the profound language of the God speech, because God's speech is such an elevated language that if you don't know something about the higher sciences of life, you cannot even communicate on a divine level, because the divine level is a very high intellectual, spiritual level that requires certain intellectual properties. And if you don't have that foundation, that intellectual foundation, you don't understand these higher sciences, the science of botany, the science of zoology, the science of astronomy, the science of geometry. If you don't understand all of these different sciences, then it's going to God is going to become an abstract idea that your mind is never going to be able to grasp and digest. And so what King James was doing, and King James took a lot of flack because a lot of people don't know that all of this slander against King James, who was a black man, was because he was against the Babylonian Jews. See all this slander, he was a homosexual, because see, he was identified just like Beethoven as a Schwarzer back then, or what, a black man. You see what I'm saying? But he was, before that, he was a judge in the in the Brunswick trials, and he saw the Babylonian Talmudists were using what we call today technology to gain some influence over those people during those times. You see what I'm saying? So he gets the bad name because people are not really doing a lot of decent research on him, and they say that he produced this book called Demonology before the Bible as if he was praising demons, and he wasn't praising demons. What he was talking about was this demonic exercising and manipulation of divine principles that would keep the people in thrall to eloquent speakers. And one of the sheiks, Fawwan, centuries ago, wrote a book called "The Dangers of the Eloquent Speaker." You know, because when somebody speaks so well, they can enthrall the ignorant mind. But going back to King James, when he told these people in the Hampton Court Conference to produce this book, he dumbed down all of these sciences so that he could satisfy the clamor of the ignorant people during those times, and the ignorant people could have some understanding on an elementary level of the language of God. But what happens when you stay on this elementary expression, you never mature. And if you never mature, you do what, as the saying say, you stay in your adolescence to an absurd degree. And so that's what's happening. People have stayed in these sciences of life in their adolescence to an absurd degree. So we don't look at the sciences of botany properly, which is the real true science of medicine, going into it and extracting out of it the God idea. What was God's idea for giving us these plants? And then we understand how to assimilate them into our civilization as tools to help refine us, help heal us, and help get us to these next levels. But I'm only saying that to say that when, as y'all was talking about discipline, this society is disciplined, but as Brother Lewis said, it's been disciplined by Satan. So we follow Satan's order, we follow Satan's rules, and so we get satanic results. That's not a strange thing. It actually has been, they've invested billions of dollars into getting this particular result. This is why we're at this condition that we're at. But I'm gonna end on this point because I just wanted to come in on the hill because y'all was making so many beautiful and wonderful points. But I wanted to come in and say this, that we have to go back to our order, as Brother Lewis said about I, Lord, self, and master, because a lot of our people don't know who we are, and we can't just shock them their systems, because some people you can shock them and they'll go into cardiac arrest. Remember when they brought Neo out of the Matrix too fast? They said, hold on, it's going into, they said the program is going into replication. Why? Because it was trying to save itself. It says he's going into cardiac arrest. And they had to pull him. They didn't know if he was going to make it. You know what I'm saying? And that's the kind of science that we have to have when we're utilizing our people. Our people do want to come out, because when you look at Cardi B, when Candace Owens got on her about teaching these girls, these young girls, these bad behaviors, she wanted to come out of it and go to church. But what happened? She didn't have any place to go to. See, there was nobody there to tell the sister, hey, you got a sister's class over here that God established, this MGT class. You can come here. There was nobody there to do that. Why? Because the watchmen that we are, some of us are falling down on their duty. I looked at our business class, our business meeting last night, and while some people thought it was good, it was a sham of what we should actually be doing, and it addressed no problems that a nation addressed. And I can show you in no limited time why it was unbecoming of us to call ourselves a nation, because it's putting us in a position where people can ridicule us and mock us if we're not exemplifying those things, like Brother Mike, you said, and Brother Lewis said, that we say we believe. We have to be the example and the message that we bring. And that's what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said to Malcolm when he demanded, you have to put up a clean glass next to a dirty glass. What was he saying? Just be the message that you bring. That's what makes the glass clean. If I tell you it's water, don't put don't put nothing corrupt in there after I done told you I got you a glass of water. Don't put a little dirt and a little mud in there and then tell me it's water. It may be, but it's so cloudy and so polluted, it's not something that somebody's going to want to drink. And that's the thing. We have allowed so much to come in, so many other suggestions to come in, that we've lost the purity of what made us superior, and that was the discipline and order and the rule of thumb that we had as Black men under the leadership of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum.
Well, Lake Salam, thank you so much, Brother Tony. And that's one of the things that we have to get back to, and that's one of the reasons why this discussion is so important, and what you were really dropping was significant on that point, because once we can reassess what our discipline is, what our proper duty to discipline is, and then become that, then we start to resonate in the light that we're supposed to resonate. I see Brother Carlton hand up, and Brother Tony, I got a text. Somebody was asking about if you could put in the chat information on King James, or how someone could access some of that information, that history, in terms of his racial identity.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah.
Praise be to Allah. Brother Carlton, go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. How you doing, Brother Carlton? Good to hear you.
Yes, sir. I'm doing pretty good, brother. I'm thanking Allah for giving me another day. I'm going to get right into it. And I really appreciate my brother Tony. He's the one who showed me this particular group.
Praise be to Allah.
And I'm so glad that he did, because
Yes.
I really appreciate this brotherhood that we're trying to establish here, and what we're trying to do as a nation. Anyway, he started talking about sciences. Brother Tony started talking about sciences, and the Elijah Muhammad said that we were left out of being taught 3 different sciences. One of the sciences that we weren't taught was the science of defense. They left that out of our educational system, and this is one of the major components, I believe, of the Nation of Islam, because we have what is called the Fruit of Islam. And the Fruit of Islam is the name given to the military training of men that belong to Islam in North America. I can't find it, but there's another part that talks about the military part of it, and how we're supposed to establish a beachhead with this military behavior that we have in the Nation of Islam.
Right, behind enemy lines to take over.
Yes,
go ahead.
Right. Exactly. So that going behind enemy lines with this military attitude is something that we really need to pay attention to. It brings me to mind of our young brother over there in Africa, in Burkina Faso. When I see him, I see a young Elijah Muhammad, in my opinion, because the brother is like this. He's a Muslim, right? But then you have these Muslim scholars that are trying to take what he's trying to do and make it religiosity, as my brother said. You know what I mean? And they're trying to make something else other than what he needed to make in order to be able to help the people, in order to be able to get the people somewhere back into some civilization, rather than giving them this doctrine of religion that is not going to feed them. And it's so interesting that he is a military man. And that goes to show you the different facets of military that have to do with building a nation. How he is managing all of that with the military structure. So discipline. One of the best things that ever happened to me when I joined the Nation of Islam was being introduced to the FOI with my FOI captain and my lieutenant. You know what I mean? And how my FOI captain was an example. You know what I mean? And how my lieutenant was a trainer. And he trained me and disciplined me. You know what I mean? So it's interesting also, Brother Tony said, hey, look, we have the MGT class. We have the FOI class. We have these disciplines that people can get involved in for almost 100 years now in the Nation of Islam. We just need to make sure that we keep it going.
Right.
Anyway, that's all I wanted to point out.
Thank you so much, Brother Carlton. It's so good to hear your voice, brother. You know, definitely. I saw you a couple of weeks. Was you on the call last week? I couldn't remember, but
yes, sir. I was on the call last week. I was just engrossed in with the brothers, which y'all were talking about. I wanted to say something, but you brothers were talking about the visit at, you know, with brother.
Oh yeah, we was doing a review.
I was just like profound. I was loving it. I watched every bit of it too that I could watch.
You know,
on the Zoom. Hey, man, it was awesome, bro. I ain't seen nothing like that in a long time, and it was a whole big FOI class thing. Looked like to me. And I love it, brother. We got to do that again and again. I really want to get with Brother Lewis, and I want to get with Brother Lewis, and I want to understand his plan. You know what I mean? Because he was saying something about we're going to have to move closer, and he's so right. How is that going to happen, and how do we do that? And what is the benefit of an individual moving closer?
Yes.
So anyway, I loved it, brother.
Absolutely. You know, and it was something somebody said, might have been Dr. Salam, I think it was last call or so. He pointed out about the coals in the fire, you know, to your point about what Brother Lewis was talking about, moving in proximity, you know, and closer proximity to one another. Because what it does is it actually keeps us warmed up. And, you know, we're on this subject, you know, Brother Tony so eloquently, you know, of course, scholarly lay out these truths, and Brother Lewis and others are dropping so much science, you know. But you know what really helps, I think, in addition to the wisdom, is being in the close proximity. You feel a stronger vibration when you're next to your brother to want to do right, to do better. I don't want to be a degenerate and then be in the company of Brother Lewis where I can't look at my brother in the eye because I'm over here on something else. I'm over here hitting the J. I'm hitting the J, you know. And I came around the brothers, and now, you know, even though I ain't hit it that day, it's in my pores, you know. You see what I'm saying? So it's important. Proximity is important, you know. It's important that what we're doing, holding this line, and what other brothers are doing, because what I'm seeing is the God growing in us, Brother Tony. As you know, you point out, I'm seeing this God force evolve in us as brothers, and we have to create access points that help us to benefit, as you were saying earlier, Brother Lewis, from that which is coming out of each brother. You know, I think that's a very important thing for us to really take a hold of and grasp firmly. That week that time that we shared in Baton Rouge was electrifying. You know, it was really electrifying. And we continuously talking about every day. We still putting out little video blurbs and things. It's a reason for that. Because, you know, one, we're practicing, these are the results, if you will. That was a result of discipline. That was a result of you know, making our word our bond. And it was a result of control. Brothers were operating under the principles of self-control and discipline that were able to come together and move in the way that we were able to move without any, you know, really without any hiccups, to be very honest with you. You know, and Honorable Elijah Muhammad said there's a thing we can do and do it perfectly. You know, so we don't have to have hiccups. We can avoid pitfalls. And if we do have them, we will overcome them much better with greater consistency and power because we're unified. That's the time that we're in right now. You know, and Brother Tony made some really good points about where we need to be. You know, I heard something too. You know, I heard something that I want to see us get to a point where we don't have to ever rely on the minister to come and to fix any problem that we're having, because we should all be able to take that responsibility upon us, you know, when it comes to helping to secure and sustain and build our nation. But it looked like you were going to say something, Brother Lewis. I want to give you opportunity to get it out. It looked like your energy was rising from the visual, and want to just see what you have to say.
Excited about listening to Brother Carlton and Brother Tony.
Yes.
And about close proximity.
Yes.
It's so important to recognize the benefit that is in each of us for others. We're not a liability to one another when we are civilized. We become liabilities to one another. You know, this notion, man, I gotta get out the hood. You know, have you ever taken a soil sample in the so-called hood? Nothing wrong with the dirt. In most cases, the dirt is better in the so-called hood than it is in the suburb. Because they chose those inner cities for a reason. And the soil is actually better there. And now they're leaving the suburb and they're coming back to kind of gentrify or take back property in the inner city and push us out of the inner city. Somehow we got this notion, and this is going back to somebody has to be in control. This is going back to what you were saying, Brother Michael, about self-control. Somebody has to be in control. And either God's going to rule or the devil's going to rule. And we have to wrestle within ourselves, who would you like your ruler to be? Because somebody's going to rule, God or the devil. And if you want God to rule, then you're going to have to submit to the principles and have respect for those core principles that will mind out the gift and talent that you have within yourself. Now, right now, in the so-called inner city, we have a problem with degeneracy. We have a problem with lawlessness. And sometimes the lawless, degenerate individual is right there in our family. And we don't want to point it out. And we don't want to create a safe space. Some of these families got pedophiles in them. Did you hear what I just said?
Come on, brother. Come on.
This is real.
Yes, sir. Come on.
Pedophilia is a real issue in our community. What happens when you don't molest a little girl or a little boy, but you know your first cousin did, and you don't say nothing about it?
Come on.
See? You didn't enforce any type of rule that would create a peaceful, respectful environment. And so even though you weren't the pedophile, you went along with pedophilia. And it creates a hostile environment where we got this notion we should get away from each other. But if we could just flip it and have a little courage as men, actually a lot of courage these days, to where we just say, we are territorial, we're going to have some boundaries, we're not going to allow pedophilia, we're not going to allow rape. And we can start there, but we can't stop there. I'm not comfortable being cool with somebody, we're talking about self-control, who's going to break in Brother Carlton's house. He was my cousin. He broke in Carlton's house and stole 15 pounds of Carlton's bean soup or beans, all right, that he had stored away.
Right.
I know about it. I call myself a brother to Brother Carlton, but I don't say nothing about it. See, this is all of this is creating distrust and animosity, and it's actually taking us out of control. Because now Carlton says, I'm going to call the Caucasian. He's man enough to set up a boundary and a border. In fact, he can put you knee to grows in a prison cell. I'm going to call him. See, men, this is going to sound off, but it's on. Down south, older black people used to say, I'm going to, they would say, beat you. I'm going to whip your backside so that the white man won't ever have to put his hands on one of my children. I have 12 children. None of them went to jail. None of them have ever been under the white man's authority. I'm the man of the house. I'm going to take care of all these young people. And that's the way we were prior to integration. Now we on a different type of thing. And what we're doing is, because we won't take control, we're giving others the authority to come in, having foreigners come in. You wouldn't take control and open up a store. So the Arab comes in and opens up a store. You're damn right. He ain't teaching no black women Islam. He putting babies in them. And these babies we used to call bastards. Huh? I'm not saying it for profanity.
That's right.
But when you made a baby and nobody took the baby under guardianship, custody, and care, the black man and woman considered that child a bastard. Do you think our great grandfathers were sitting around waiting for some Arabs and some foreign Asians or whatever they are to come into our community and put babies in our daughter? Do you know how weak women look at you when you let that happen? All because man, I don't know how to run no stove. Well, damn it, learn how to run one. Figure it out. It's going to be painful. Take the pain. The minister said pain is the mother of creativity. But we have to get in close proximity. We're not getting in close proximity. So, man, I do sell some dope. Our ancestors wasn't selling dope to build Black Wall Street. We have to put pressure on each other to think like this. They got in close proximity to one another. They started cutting down trees, not cutting each other. They were using that cross-cut saw.
Right.
Yoked up arms like this. Ain't never been to no gym or nothing like that. Strong back black men. Cutting with that saw, making furniture out of the trees. This is what our ancestors were doing. Mama was at home sewing, taking croquet sacks and making garments with it. Everybody was thinking, I'm going to be industrious and I want to have limited contact with Caucasians. I want control. I want no damn just money. You got a Negro who's a millionaire. He can't even come to see Minister Farrakhan. They got his testicles all jacked up in his backside. He can't even stand up and get hard enough to go see Minister Farrakhan.
Come on.
He ain't got nothing. He's like a damn eunuch. We're talking about control. You're gonna let you're gonna let your testicles get cut out for some damn money?
Teach.
What kind of man have we don't want no control? He gave you money, he controls you. Because you don't want to go through the hard process. It's hard to be a man. It's not that hard to be a male, but it's hard to be a man.
Teach.
Men are hard. Men have to have a harsh part to themselves. A man will say, I'd rather dig a damn ditch all day long to work for these goddamn crackers so that they can insult me. If I go to work for them, I'm only going long enough to get enough money so I can get with my brethren. You go work for a devil, I'm gonna work for a devil. Soon as we get paid, we're gonna buy something and do for self.
Come on.
Flip. Come on. talking about spend that stuff. That's
Come
how
on.
our minds were spinning back in the day.
Yes. Teach,
you
brother.
over there working for old boss, been there 30 years. If you make $1,000 a week and it's 5 of y'all, why don't y'all put $50 a week together so you can steal away and produce some kind of program? You got a millionaire Negro you bowing down to. Oh man, you seen so-and-so? He just got a $30 million contract. You remind me of the little cheap groupie girl that sees a little basketball player or football player. You ask Brittany Rittner, she see the little dude, he got a little cash on him. But these dudes already know he drive up in a nice ride. He got a $30 million contract. But I tell you this much, he ain't giving her $1,000 a week to be his trick, to be his jack off toilet. I know it's wrong.
No, you teaching, brother.
You want to go ahead and you need somebody I need to relieve myself. You're going to be my toilet tonight, little girl. Come on over, mama. What you need, $1,000? I make 30 million, but he ain't set up no businesses in the Black community. They got Black brothers who want to be down there, who know how to work, and we can employ our own people. You want to know why they get that iron and go jack them Negroes? I'm not advocating jacking, but if you got $30 million and you riding down in the hood to find you a comfortable, pretty, weaved up, BBL up toilet, because that's what you're using our little girls for.
Come on, brother. Teach.
Then maybe that's why her little brother got that thing and put it to your head and took them damn shoes off your feet. You want me to feel sorry for you, Negro? Listen up, man. I'm sorry, Brother Michael. I don't want you
go ahead, brother. Let it go ahead. No, sir, cook.
We're talking about self-control and discipline, all right?
Cook.
See, when you got that $30 million,
yes, sir,
you were supposed to come look for Brother Louis Ali from the South, an honest, hard-working Black man who got some young Black boys he's teaching skilled trades to, and I could get some more with just a little support. We would love to go. We don't want to get out the hood. We want to go rebuild. We want to make historically Black business districts and cultural districts great again. We want to hook up with the brothers who want to build something and do something for themselves and for these young people. And you know what? The young people would respect the Negroes in the NBA. We love you, NBA player. We love you, NFL player. But you got to come back and deal with people like me who want to rebuild the hood.
They got to get some balls. Yeah, they got to just get some. They got to get a nutsack.
You can't see Farrakhan. And let me say this here too. You can't get with one of the land illiterates who claims to be with the minister. You got to come to the dirt, man. You got to get with the guy who's already in the dirt building infrastructure. I'm sorry, but it's just the truth. And it's time.
Yes.
We could speed the process up.
That's right.
We can employ our people. We can rebuild the Black business districts around these historically Black colleges. We already on the ground doing it anyway, but it could go so much faster if they would help us. This is how we become brothers first. Amos Wilson said, one of the greatest psychiatrists and psychologists to ever live, he said, the number one way to build Black trust and Black loyalty is to employ one another. Did you hear that?
Yeah, facts.
The number one way
to
build Black trust and Black loyalty is to employ one another.
That's right.
How you gonna preach to brothers all day long and not give them nothing to do? And this is why I love We Must Be Brothers First. It's so important, Brother Michael, that every time we get together, Brother Carlton, we're going to build something together so that we can go away from it saying that our word was not empty of our bond.
That's right, brother.
See, if you have a word and you don't have a bond, then you don't have subject and verb agreement.
That's right.
You've taken out the subject or you've taken out the verb. You need both. We got the right subject. Sometimes we don't have the right verb. That's what Tony's talking about. That's what Tony's jabbing at. I'm talking about our brother Tony on here now. Yeah, you got the right subject. That is right what you're talking about, but you don't seem to have the right verb and action for there to be agreement in the sentence. We would have to give you an I because you're only given an incomplete sentence if you don't have the action to back it. And you know what the problem is? You don't respect the action. You respect the subject. It's a great topic. And this is why Mr. Bill Allen used to always tell me, never talk about the problem more than you talk about the solution and how we're going to execute the solution to fix the problem.
That's right.
In every city, our young people are walking around here out of control and idle.
Cool.
Every black man should have more than one child that we can take care of and that we can become not just almost a mentor, but maybe even a father figure to, because they need black masculine men. What do I mean, black masculine men? I mean, black masculine men have creativity. Creativity keeps you out of criminal behavior. You don't have to get involved in criminal behavior. There are things we could build. When nephew came down here, he jumped right in the mud in the mix.
Right in the mix. Yeah.
The 10-year-old little boy Messiah, he jumped right in the mud in the mix.
Yes.
So that's a
looking
sign
for something
to
to do.
show us something.
Yes. Yes.
Our young people are ready to go. We got the right subject. We don't have the right verbs. We don't have action followed. The verb is what we need. Something that bonds the subject and makes the subject real and alive. See, you go around every one of the historically black colleges throughout the country. You got young people in the colleges. They're studying the right subjects, but nobody seems to know how to put them in action or in verb with subject and verb agreement. We don't have subject and verb agreement because we have taken the verb out of the equation. So it just sounds like it really sounds like we're just saying something. I'm saying, but you never have the action to follow it up. And you can't put this on the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan because his part of the mission was to give us the subject and the word.
That's right.
Our part of it is to execute it. And that's what Brother Louis and Brother Michael and this We Must Be Brothers First is all about. It's about the unification of the verb and the subject and putting it together and manifesting a project. Finding joy in being together. You know, this whole notion that we're going to bring somebody in to give us a lecture.
Right.
I don't want nobody coming to Baton Rouge to give no lecture unless you're going to get in the dirt.
That's right.
Hear me, Brother Michael?
That's right. That's right. That's right.
The days of just coming in, giving lectures, that ain't down to modern times. Modern times dictate that we got to go plant some food together, grow some food together, harvest some food together, sew some clothes together, sell some clothes together, build a building together, manifest destiny is where we are today. God came in person to raise up the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He said we were going to be a nation. Brother Lewis from the South, little Lewis from the South didn't say it. God said it. And so we're supposed to live our lives behaving in a way as if we're working toward manifest destiny, Brother Mike.
Come on, brother. Preach. Cook. We can really pass the charity basket at this point because that's really a wrap. but you're right on point, brother. You know, they would always say, you know, you're right on point, brother. Right on point. We have to transition out of just talking about what it is that we're going to do and what we need to do. We need to move into that activity. And I think that was what was so rewarding about our experience there in Baton Rouge. Yeah, we've been talking for over 30-something weeks. And it's good conversation because we're working up towards something. But it was sweeter icing on the cake when when I touched down in Baton Rouge, and then I got on that little dirt, and we out there in that dirt, and we putting something together. It brings everything to life, and we can do that. You know,
that's right.
We can go in every city throughout this country. We got expertise in a Brother Lewis. We got expertise in brothers that have the know-how. So we bring the spiritual, but then we have to go from the spiritual into the material. Because the book say in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. The Word is God, and then the Word became flesh and dwelt among men. That nothing moves us more than success. That is our nature. That is what Black men, we make love. That is where we get the spiritual, and pardon the expression, but orgasm, if you will. You know, is when we build something, you know, and we see it, brother. You know, and we see the manifestation of what was in our mind in reality, brother. That's what we have to do today, you know, all the way across the board. You know, I was just thinking, you know, you were talking, I think Brother Tony was talking about the bags, and we were just talking about how the enemy has tricked us. And what I think that what happened, you know, especially that contributes to this loss of control, and I think this is for our people, not necessarily for us on this call, but for those of our people who may be listening now and listening in the future to understand, is that the enemy deprived us. That's why you want the nice bag. That's why you want the nice shoes, because you felt like you missed something. But what you don't realize is that's a trick. So you give all your resources over to him for his material. You build his world, and you come away with absolutely nothing at the end of the day. Because that materialism does not give you real status. It gives you the illusion of status. It doesn't give you real placement as being important. It gives you that illusion. May make you feel that way for a temporary spell, but it is not reality. What gives you real status and real power is when you got land and you got something that we can build, something that we can call our own, that is not just individualized. It can't just be for you. And this is what we're talking to our brothers who are successful athletes, brothers who have resources. How can you sit with all your resources and then look at your poor people and not get with those who have intelligence in your own community and help build something that is sustainable? That's what Brother Lewis is talking about. That's something that will benefit the whole of our people. The time of individualism is over. That is a mark of the beast, to be individualized. You can't, and we will not be successful operating on that kind of frequency. And what you call it, Brother Lewis, when you're talking, do nothing, the Quran called it lip profession. So you're a professional talker, but you're not going any further than that. Master Father Muhammad didn't come for us just to become professional talkers. That's why Honorable Elijah Muhammad laid such a beautiful sign, you know, a beautiful sign in what he built before his departure. That wasn't the minister's assignment. The minister's assignment was to wake us back up, get us on the path, reestablish his work, make that connection, and give us the synthesis of the teaching so we would never fall again. We got enough knowledge circulating where we will never fall again, because we can pull from the God force that's in each and every brother. He has completed his assignment, taking it to every nook and cranny. But where we have to mature now in a brotherhood, and this is why self-control is so important. We're not just talking about the frequency of your appetite. We're talking about regaining control over everything that is connected to what makes us a human being. That's our women, that's our children. When we talk about self-control, we're talking about our education. How in the hell can you go free and you still letting your enemy raise your babies? You know, just think about this. I'm going to send my children to the devil to educate my children. Think about this, Black people. You will never go free sending your children, your babies, your toddlers, your children over, putting them in the hand of another people to educate them, because we have become too lazy or too busy chasing the bag to make sure that our children have an adequate education. I remember, you know, I was talking to my children's mother, and I was talking, and you know, and we were talking about how they laughed at us. You know, they were sitting up laughing at us and thinking that we were going to be miserable failures because we pulled our children. We didn't let our children go to the white man's school. It was something in me, brother, even then. And this is no jab at nobody, because I know other people, everybody didn't have this opportunity or maybe had this luxury. So it's not a judgment or a jab at anybody per se. It's just it's a lesson. Some of us, we are pioneers. We go out and we figure it out. Like Brother Lewis, you go out there and break them, clearing that land. Y'all got to see the kind of stuff Brother Lewis does when he go clear whole acres of land that was with trees and all kinds of stuff out there on that land, you know. But when you're a pioneer, you go out, you survey, and you look at the land. You say, well, hell, we can build something here. You cut down some trees. You make sure you find a good high ground, as Brother Lewis was teaching us on the high grounds and where you build and how you got to build the ground up so that you can protect yourself from water and make sure there's runoff so you don't weaken the soil. Help me, brother. I know I'm on it, brother. I'm getting my education. I'm a be land literate before it's all said and done. You understand what I'm saying? Because I'm going to tell you something. We can act like we cool and talk about cars and fine things, but if you don't know nothing about that dirt, you ain't going to make it through this period, because you're going to have to know something about that dirt in a minute. I promise you. So to my point, and I don't want to lose the train of thought, you know, we were talking, and we pulled our children. I couldn't justify sending my children while I'm talking, enemy this, the enemy that. I'm talking tough talk from what brother, we talk tough, especially in that era. And then I'm going to send my baby over and let somebody educate him while I'm talking tough. I could imagine if I was a Caucasian looking at my children at that time saying, damn, he talking about us like we're the threat of threats and we the enemy, but he going to put his innocence, he going to put the most valuable part of himself into their care and authority. He's gonna put the most valuable part of himself under their tutelage. Think about this. How can we ever gain self-control thinking like this? This is why we have to get independent education. I was so proud to learn about the brother in the Muhammad's University of Islam who had made that great achievement. You know, being, I forget what the ranking, but he's one of the top in the country. And even with Muhammad's University of Islam, as small as it is, it's small. It needs to grow big time, but it is still produced. The output is far greater than anything that the devil can produce. This is why we got to mature. We got to stop just talking about it. We have to mature and gain real self-control as a brotherhood so we can build these institutions that were already seeded for us. That was the first military maneuver, one of the first Honorable Elijah Muhammad made, was to establish independent education. That's when the Muslims were in court fighting over independent education because the devil wanted to keep power over the mind of our young people. How can we gain self-control over the young brother growing up in the streets if you keep putting him in front of some white girl from somewhere Iowa or somewhere Michigan that don't know nothing about Black people, don't have an IQ, don't have any understanding of the suffering of our people and what it takes for us to be a better people? She cannot give us the pathway to self-governance because she don't give a damn about that. That's not her concern. She's not going to teach him to be masculine. She's not going to teach him to go out and do for self. That's our responsibility. So that's what the subject that we're on, I'm saying, is much deeper than what most of us think. It's not just self-control over your appetite. That's where it starts. It starts internally. But when you think of self-control, we got to look at every aspect of our experience as human beings and our responsibility to ourselves and our people, our women. You know, we talking about our women, you know, and again, they can get on front of the screen and get in front of us and we lose it. Oh my, I see some, I'm ashamed at how we have behaved, brothers. And I'm not talking about you on the call, but I'm talking about our brothers in general. You know, some sister jump up in front of us and we reward that behavior. We have to stop rewarding behavior that destroys our community. Go ahead, Brother Tony.
Man, you cooking tonight, y'all. Cooking
man.
tonight.
Praise be to Allah.
Bro, you're Lewis on fire tonight, bro. You're brother Lewis on fire, bro. Praise be to Allah.
Praise be to Allah.
I was waiting for nephew to come out the bag.
I'm waiting on him.
I was like, I know he got the ghost over there. You know, it's always good, man, to hear from the up and coming generation, because it helps when Allah gives us a new generation. It's always to show us something that we missed in our generation. That's why right. In African culture, Asiatic African culture, they value the youth so much, because the youth comes up with a new spirit, a new fresh perspective, and they tend to reinvigorate the community to pursue the plan that God has put us here to solve. But one of the things you address, you and Brother Lewis addressed, that made me think remind myself that I had missed something when I was talking about King James's intent with the Bible. One of his intents was, when he dumbed it down, it wasn't to hurt people, but instead of focusing on the sciences of life, they focused on the humanities. And if you notice in civics, when they deal with the humanities are those fundamental things that make a society, despite your education, work. How to treat one another, how to conduct yourself, as we say in some of our training units at home and abroad. But that's what the humanities were to focus on, to establish behavioral integrities, not stealing from your neighbor, and things like that. So there's your neighbor's household and his marriage becoming sacred with you. Those are the things that would make any society, no matter how educated or lack thereof, refined. And so I wanted to say that, thinking on what you brothers were saying, because you mentioned, Mike, one of the things, and that's that education that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad focused on, because his process of re-educating us did so much for us, and too often we let that, like we let civics go out of the educational system, we let the tenets of belief and education that we were taught by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad go out of our system, and that's our system, quote unquote, the NOI. But I saw a nephew had his hand up, and I wanted to catch him while his mind was still fresh, and we can always circle back. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you, Brother Tony. Brother, go ahead, nephew. Yes, sir.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, sir.
I mean, honestly, when Brother Lewis just went, and then you went up, and then Brother Tony went, like you said, y'all was spitting. So y'all really said mostly everything, and a couple of things that were on my mind. So I don't really have much to say, but what I do have to say is that so in 2023 or 2024, sometime around that time, I was watching a podcast with Cam Newton, and he was interviewing a brother. And at the end, I clipped this. This is the only part that I clipped of the podcast. And at the end of the video, the brother said, I think Cam Newton asked him something like, what's one of the problems with the Black community, or something in that sense. And he paused for a second, and he said, we're overlooking the man in the mirror. So we're overlooking the man in the mirror. We're overlooking the women that we laying with every night, and we're overlooking our children just to go outside and to try to do everything outside, but we're not starting from within first. So he said, first, you got to wake up in the morning, you got to make your bed, you got to look in that mirror. You got to look in that mirror, you got to analyze yourself. So you analyze yourself first, and then you start looking around, the crib, looking at your wife and trying to handle your wife and handle your kids. And then once you get the crib right, now we start making sure the crib is clean. We handling and making sure we dusting everything in the crib. Everything is clean and ordered in the crib. And then after we do that for our home, we'll then we go outside and we look at the neighbor next door and we say what's up to the neighbor, and then we start building a relationship with the neighbor. And then once we establish a relationship with our neighbors, then we start walking down the street and getting connected with the block. So really this, I think his main point was just that we got to start with the internal battle first. There's a lecture by the minister called, I think it's labeled The Three Jesuses. He was in a real sharp blue suit. And running. Oh yeah, 4 Jesuses maybe. Yeah, I can't remember exactly what it was, but I just remember he was in a real sharp blue suit, and he said we're running from the real battle. We want to fight all these battles outside of ourselves, but the real battle is internal. You know, once we start to fight the internal battle and conquer the internal, because one thing I realized as a man is that when we lack self-control, we try to control everything outside of ourselves. You know, so once I started to see and realize that, I said, oh, what we really seek is self-control. We're really because once we can control ourselves, then everything else falls in order. You know, because obviously God is the master of all traits, so he's the master of self-control. God has order out in existence. He has order. Everything runs in order. So if we're the man of God and we're like Brother Tony said, God ain't nowhere outside of us, he's in us, then we have to master self-control. And once we master self-control, then our wife or the woman that we're dealing with will naturally come into her rightful feminine self, and then the kids will be able to start to act like how they're supposed to act, and everything will get in order. But when you try to control outside first, everything stays chaotic. So
absolutely.
So I just want to focus on, you know, the world time that we live in will make you feel like that we don't have time, but all you have is the moment. Right now, you just have the moment. So do something with the moment to gain the control. Don't put your far on what's going on outside the world. The minister says you can make the world. You can make the world and make the world a better place. First, conquering the devil that's within inside yourself. And if everybody strives to do that, then the world will slowly become a better place. And that's pretty much all I had to say.
Absolutely right on point, nephew. And you know, it's really interesting because you hit some key points on this internal piece. This is a core part of what, you know, we you know, I really had in some of these notes for discussion tonight, you know, which is this internal piece, you know, self-mastery, you know, that the whole war is internal, you know, and it's really jihad. We say jihad with not war with self, you know, and you're right. When we really take control and regain control as men, then our women will fall in line. That's the real truth, brother. You know, you got a lot of brothers on the internet, you know, really kind of, you know, and I understand, you know, I don't want to judge no brothers, but some of them are just kind of whining, you know, and I understand they're upset, men, especially if you don't understand what's happened to all of us on both sides. But when you really, really understand the power of the Black man regaining control over himself, she can't help but to come under the power of her man, because she's not, as the minister taught us, Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us, she's not the woman of man. She's the woman of God. You see, so we have to reflect God. Brother Tony, did you want to wrap up? I know, Brother Lewis, I got that clip. I want to go ahead and play it for you. You know, and but did you have something else you want to say? I know you yielded for Brother Nephew, and then we'll come back to the clip and Brother Lewis. There was something you want to say on that.
Yes, sir. And I just end on this point because, you know, Nephew, you know, to add on to what he said, because he basically brought it in too. And I'll tie it in because I sent you that clip with somebody in the audience, you said, asked.
Yes. Somebody asked me about the book. Yeah.
And it's a book called Adversary. And it talks about all of the slander. You know, they used to call King James Black Boy and all of the people with him. He's from the House of Stuart, and the House of Stuart was one of those houses that was considered swarthy or black, but they had a lot of royal houses that were considered to be to be black. But anyway, what King James was saying, back to nephew's point, to be taught anything about God, they had to first be able to reconcile the idea of God in themselves. And that's what he said would be their saving grace, because when they came into any kind of divine revelation or even found a false prophet, they couldn't be manipulated. See, King James didn't want people act like he dumbed it down in order to hide things. That's not what he did. He was dumbing it down to make it practical and focus on the humanities, so that if I understand that my humanity is divine. See, that's what we don't understand. You know, in the Egypt, when they talk about the Sunam Bunam, how the African Asiatic priest, high priests used to grow into their godhood after studying for 42 years.
Right.
And that is the unfolding of the God within. You see, because this is why Jews don't believe in any hell, because they believe that the 7 levels of heaven are within the human being. And guess who believed that also? The Holy Prophet Muhammad. This is why he was able to ascend to the 7 heavens. Well, if the body, the human body, is a microcosm of this macrocosm, are wrangling over the hadiths of Prophet Muhammad, wondering how he was able to see the 7 heavens or the 7 universes. Because if you don't know our universe, if you go look at the Hubble telescope, the scientists have discovered that our universe is made in like 7 realms. And each one is a million times bigger than the other one. And they just get bigger and bigger and bigger. But anyway, the 100 years ago know this, and it was because, as Ibn Arabi says, and I think that was you, Brother Mike, that turned me on to the mystic Sufi Ibn Arabi, but I know you turned me on to some Sufism. But one of the things, since I've been studying a lot of his writings, was that they left out, you know, when British begin to colonialize and break up the caliphate over there in the Middle East, and now we don't have a Khalifa, we don't have a caliphate.
Right.
Based on God anymore. This is why you have all these kings and rulers over there that are now fighting. So we don't have that anymore. But anyway, one of the things that he had Ibn Arabi had mentioned was that they were going to come, an enemy was going to come and take our spirituality away from us. And when that enemy came and took our spirituality away from us, even knowing that we were looking at God. Do you see what I'm saying? And what did the Honorable Elijah Muhammad tell us? Every time you look at a black man, you're looking at God. But Ibn Arabi, centuries before him, said we were going to be robbed of a certain aspect of our spirituality, that we would be looking in the very face of God and not know it. Assalamu alaikum.
Powerful, 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 powerful. Can y'all brother hear me? Okay. Okay, can you hear me? Okay, Brother Lewis, I was gonna go ahead and play that clip. As soon as I can figure this thing out.
Or just click on it. Oh, you can put it up here.
Yeah.
And I have to say, man, it was such a joy seeing all of them young brothers around y'all and out there, y'all on that land putting that work in.
You got to see it, Brother Tony.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
sir. I wish I could have been there. I was watching every minute of it that I could.
Praise be to Allah.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. Yeah. Okay, here we go.
This clip here, as Brother Michael tries to pull it up, it's the minister But I want, because of what nephew said, I think, and also Brother Tony, and we're going to have to start really asking ourselves the question, do you desire a woman who does not want to come under, does not any control? Just listen to what the minister says. Just listen to what the
I'm gonna see. Let me know if it's coming through. Can you hear it?
And when I close on this point, my sisters,
Yes.
you may become angry with me,
Yes.
but I'm going to say it regardless. You can get angry if you want to, but I have to speak truth. In the nature of things, there wouldn't have been a devil on our planet if a scientist had not learned how to separate the weaker germ, the brown germ, from the black. Well, that is symbolism, but yet it's deep. Because in the atom there must be control. It doesn't become destructive unless you split it. Men have been given by God authority over women. And the enemy, knowing that, broke the black man and freed the black woman from the control of a black man, and he became your controller. I want you to hear what I'm saying.
Listen good. Listen good.
Teach.
From the time that we had no control over our women, the white man's control destroyed her, and she became the force of destruction for our nation. Sisters, when you go to the Genesis in the Bible, see, God didn't create the woman first. He created the man. This is no male supremacy talk.
Teach.
Then he created the woman and gave her to the man as a helpmeet. But he was under the direct authority of God. And she was to come under his authority. But a snake entered the picture. And the snake is always trying to destroy the natural controller and usurp the position of God. One of his attributes is the controller. He don't just put planets out there. He puts control on them.
Teach.
By means of law. And as long as they submit to the law and come under control, they have perpetuity. That's why there's never been a teacher like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was not just a black man talking to black men about black things. He was trying to raise us up under the control of God, that we could once again get control of our woman. She don't like that kind of talk. Oh, nobody control me. But hell, girl, you are out of control. And because you are out of control, you sentencing the nation to death. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad made a speech in 1957 at Reverend Walker's church. And his speech was the respect, protection, and control of the so-called Negro woman. That last word to a feminist is like throwing holy water on a vampire. Now, when I close.
Ooh, that was on point, on point. Wow.
So I thought,
wow.
that clip was very relevant to what we've been talking about tonight.
The whole discussion. Facts.
So relevant, you know?
Very relevant.
But we're going to have to ask ourselves the question as men. Do you desire a woman who doesn't want to be under your control? See, somebody's going to be in control. And in most cases, unfortunately, the Adam in the Bible, he removed himself from authority and went in submission to his woman, who was in submission to the serpent. Are we any better than our fathers? We're going to have to wrangle with this one.
Absolutely.
God gave him authority. And Satan slips in and talks to the woman who's supposed to be under his authority. She listens. And the minister talked about a minute ago, the weaker germ and the stronger one, susceptible to that type of influence. Always ready to go with the crowd, never just dependent on God. So when we get to the point to where we're simps, and what Crimson Cure calls a F-19, I'll maybe meet me down on the block and I'll explain to you what a F-19 is. But I think you kind of know.
Yeah.
So when she starts shaking and, you know, shake your booty, you all but start doing rock odds. How many rock odds should I do, baby? 2, or is it in the morning, or should I do 4? Is it in the afternoon? But I'm gonna do some rock odds and obey you and let you take me and the family straight to hell. See, you hadn't really graduated into becoming a man until you can reject that for the greater good.
Preach.
And in rejection of that, she might see that you're not a dog, but that you're a God, and find herself in some form of submission. But once she finds out that you're a dog, you're not a God, and that she can make you, or her friends can make you, submit.
Wow. Come on.
I'm Beyonce. I got thighs.
Come on.
And because I got thighs and I shake them, you're going to do these rock odds, Big Daddy.
You're going to pray. You bound down.
You bound down to me.
Yes.
See, this is a serious problem in the Black community. We're the type of males, that'll go, and our dad will take us to football practice all of our life, and we'll go score a touchdown and say, "Hi, Mom," and wouldn't even acknowledge his presence. My mama said. I'm not knocking Mama. But I'm trying to say we got to gain some control, Brother Mike. And that means that we're going to have to take a role of managing and maintaining the affairs of women and children. But I said women, no accident. Because according to what the minister just taught us on, if they're not under our authority, they're going to be under the devil's authority. And this is what's leading, and I'm not trying to be ugly, but it has to be said and built upon, Brother Tony, because you heard what the minister just said. Most of our brothers who are locked up in the pen, they didn't have no father that was, they weren't under their father's control. You say, well, their fathers left. I don't know. Maybe. But listen to this. How we meet our women matters. I'm just putting you on notice. You really don't need a woman that don't respect you enough to be under your control. If she don't think you're able to do that, you ought to leave her alone. Because you can't protect or guide what you can't control, what you can't manage.
Absolutely.
And if she's unmanageable, you ask her not to dress as her. I dress the way I want to dress.
Right.
I cook what I want to cook. I go where I want to go. See, you're supposed to get real calm and cool and collective, and you're not supposed to ever give her sex. We'll say it again. She don't need sex. She need therapy. You don't. But what happens is, nephew was talking about, we're out of control.
That's it, brother. You brought it home.
And so you lay down with these out of control women, and you destroy yourself, and you destroy your nation and your family. There's a good woman who wants to be under your authority, your management, your masculine light, your vision, your control. She ain't got a problem with it. So why would you go get Miss Cardi B, no disrespect to Cardi, and bring her into your orbit? Even planets collide if they go inside of another one's orbit. Anything in your orbit is supposed to submit to your order. And if it doesn't, you need to reject it. That's nature. So I wanted everybody to listen to that clip by our minister. Not just what he said, but maybe if you can send it out, Brother Michael, send it out. Let's study it as brothers. Just study the words of the minister. Let's try it.
Wow.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Brother, I just absolutely just want to extend my condolences to our dear beloved brother Lante. Was one of the soldiers that came up in Iowa. Brother Tony, of course, I met him through Brother Tony, and he ended up he was in the ranks, joined the ranks. One of the top soldiers out of Chicago, as it stands right now. Brother Tony just shared with me that he just lost his wife, which is Brother Tony's sister, actually, this past Monday. And of course, I knew our beloved sister. But Brother Tony, you want to say something? Oh, I thought you were going to say something. Yeah, but I just wanted to extend my deepest sympathy. You know, these go back to the root, you know, of in our journey. You know what I'm saying? I remember way back, they've been together for as long as I can remember, Brother Tony. I think I don't even remember time that they weren't together. You know, but and I remember when they moved to Chicago. You know, and I'm so sorry to hear of our sister's departure. May Allah forever be pleased with her, and may He not deprive us of her reward, you know, and bless us to do good, you know, that will honor the memory of those who transition in these hours, you know. So definitely want to extend our deepest sympathy here and prayers. Brother Tony, go ahead.
Yeah, and the reason why I put it up there as much as it hurt is because of what Brother Lewis was just saying. Yeah. See, my sister been in the nation 30 years, you know, and she got out of the habit of her discipline. And so she caught cancer, and her and my brother-in-law, breast cancer, and her and my brother-in-law had a debate. He said, well, try the Honorable Elijah Muhammad first.
Yes.
Under the dietary law.
Yeah.
And so she tried the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and the cancer in her breast went into remission. The devil got a hold of her when my brother-in-law was at work, taking care, because he runs his own personal business. So he had to spend some time there, to take, make sure everything, all the bills and things were covered. And they got a hold of her while he was not present and talked her into taking this chemotherapy, and never even tested her to see if she was compatible with it. So she took it, and then just got so sick she could not even get up. And they had to take her to another hospital, and the doctor there said she was not even supposed to be given that form of chemo for the type of cancer she has. She said the chemo is not for that, but it sent her body into shock, and it caused her liver and her kidneys to shut down. But what I'm saying is that, to Brother Lewis, our wives have to be as much under the same control, discipline, and mindset that we have to know that this enemy is real. Because they come to find out this was a Zionist Jew, two Zionist Jews who had given her this medication. And she's not hiding. She wears the name Muhammad, So they know exactly who she was and exactly what they were dealing with, And when they advised her before, Lante, her husband was telling her, hey, listen, we're going to do this way. But the moment she went her own way, she got so sick, and in 3 weeks, sometimes you can, there's a saying in masonry that you can do good your entire life. In one unguarded moment, you can undo everything. The Holy Prophet said there is a man who will do the deeds of heaven all the way up into the day of judgment and do one deed that will earn them the hellfire. And there is a man who will do all of the deeds of hellfire up into the day of judgment and do one deed that will earn him Jannah or paradise. So we have to be careful, because when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said you can turn devil overnight, it doesn't mean that you're just wicked and rebellious. You can you can be deceived and turn into a devil, and that devil will become the Satan of self that ultimately overcomes you. So that whispering, as Brother Lewis was talking about, the woman allowing that serpent to whisper in her ear, that just cost us a sister who, and she's well known in Chicago. She was a hard worker. She was a pillar. She's one of the pillars in the family as well. And I mean, she was a soldier. But that is that is how how important discipline is. You can't let it down for one moment. Salam alaikum.
Well, like salam, brother. Just again, my deepest sympathy, because I'm digging into my memories now, and it really it's just really deep, altogether. But your point is well taken, and it reminds me of what the Quran says, about in that day, if you do an Adam's way to good, you will see it, and if you do an Adam's way of evil, you will see. We have to be very diligent, and that's why even the subject that we're on today is so important. We have to be really diligent in our obedience to what we have been given. It will save our life. It is really salvation in every aspect of what we have been taught. I'm just thinking, like you said, just one little thing, Brother Tony, one moment, and that we're not paying attention to, and that's how they get it. Same thing happened with my mother. I had my mother on a real strong regimen as well. And she was fighting. She had a good fight on her. The enemy got and cut her on her. And told her, of her condition, and put some more fear in her. And then the enemy told her to stop taking all of the medication. all of the stuff that I had her on that was really holding her up and, and giving her some fight. Then the enemy, so once the enemy start whispering into your ear, and if you don't got enough strength to resist, then what happens is you go the way of the enemy. And my mother, the less than 1 week, not even a good week after she got off the regimen of things that Allah blessed me to have her on, she transitioned. So I can relate to that, what brother just shared in a very intimate way, because I saw it firsthand. And then what happens if you don't have a fortified wall around you, of brothers who are thinking like that, and sisters who are thinking like that, then they help the collapse of that divine wall that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has built up for us. That's why we got to be brothers. That's why we got to get strong again in that way, that so many all have mentioned tonight in some regard. We got to get strong. We got to stand on what Elijah Muhammad gave us. Period, point blank, what the minister has been teaching us. I just listening at the minister, I said, do you hear the level of wisdom coming out of this man, and guidance and counsel coming out of this man's mouth? We have to stand on what we have been given. It is right and exact. I was thinking today, just a random thought, I was thinking, because I was looking at these pictures they got online, and Brother Tony, we had talked about the Supreme Minister John Muhammad, may Allah be pleased with him, which I love. I love these brothers, because these brothers were with the Savior. You know what I'm saying? It's like my heart has grown to love them even more, as I've matured, because we have to mature. Even if I don't know of any differences, but sometimes the differences become so magnified that we don't even see the greatness of what was happening in the moment. Every transition, there's going to be some degree of misunderstandings that will come out of those transitions. That's just the nature of life. How do you go from the presence of what they thought was prophet, then later to find out he was God, and then what I'm saying, then Honorable Elijah Muhammad becoming the Messiah, the Christ. These are transitions. In each of these transitions, you're going to find some people who are in agreement, who can flow, and then you're going to find some who don't agree. I'm just mentioning that just for the thought process. But I'm looking at these videos and listening to brothers talk about their experience with the Savior, and my heart just swells up. So then I'm looking at these pictures, and I know he don't have to necessarily, he can look how he want to look, but I'm looking at these pictures online, and I'm looking at the Savior, and my heart just filled up with love. I promise you. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just filled up with love, not over the physicality of what I'm looking at, but over what he has done for us. You see, what the man has done, what the God has done for us. And it made me to learn, to even appreciate, of course, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, what they have done. If the thought came to me, I said, I don't give a, if the honorable Elijah Muhammad told me that a purple carrot was God, I'm following Elijah Muhammad. I'm just telling you, that's the thought that came up in my mind. I have no problem. I just got to call it for what it is. Before I follow behind what he taught us, an open enemy. He's an open enemy. He is not being secretive about being your enemy in his society and his world. And again, our focus is not on the white man. We're not downgrading our conversation, because we already know we're in the personal responsibility. But it's important when it comes to what we are learning and how we gain self-control. You got to separate. That's number one. The book say, come out of her, my people. Brother Lewis, you coined the phrase from the Messenger. Integration has failed, and it has failed. It will not work. It will never work. It is a wrap. Black man, get up, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, and do something for self. We have a right to self-government. The path to self-determination is the same path to self-respect. It's the same path that will get our women to honor us and respect, and our children to honor and respect us again. When I saw them little boys, them young boys out there at the 18, they love Brother Lewis. They love Sister Stephanie. They love because they're getting fed not just physical food, they're getting fed a knowledge that gives them sustainability. I'm talking to little brother Kadeem. Every time he open his mouth, he dropping knowledge. I'm like, listen to this brother. He just full of knowledge. He just love the wisdom. See that's the way our children should be rotating. They should be operating on the frequency of knowledge. And even when I'm fortunate to talk to my own, I hear wisdom coming out of my son. I see my daughters, they eat a certain way. Just certain things you see based on what the teachings of Honorable Elijah Muhammad has given us. And we got to understand the value of that, and we got to go deeper into what we've been given. And I'm saying this to our people who are listening. Listen, don't let nobody turn you away from Mr. Muhammad. Don't let nobody turn you away from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. You ain't got nobody out here teaching you a wake up and teaching you how to become yourself, how to maintain and govern yourself, the path to self-determination, self-respect, honor, love of self. Nobody teaching us to love our women. What we putting out here ain't about hating our women. We're talking about what the enemy has done that has caused us to have such problems in our community. He has thrown off the balance of nature. He has thrown off everything. And so now we have the battle of the sexes because you don't know your role as a man and you don't know your role as a woman. And then the children cannot know their role if we don't know our role. And there's no system in place to bring forth generations that will be the benefactor of what they are to be the benefactors of, Yeah, jump in there, brother.
Michael, this is so powerful, man.
Praise. Jump in there, brother.
We're going a little over, but I gotta say,
no, we good. We got about 9 minutes.
This is why protection of the female is so important.
Yes.
It's not just physical, but it's spiritual, emotional, psychological. Satan has gone in and going after our women's mind. He's robbed them of their femininity so much so that they don't even have the ability to console us under his order. We have to make them our women again. And we're not going to do it by submitting to Satan in the person of a woman. It's just not going to happen that way.
That's right.
We're going to have to take charge of our posts.
Yes.
In all temple
property
in view.
Yes.
We have to be able to maintain and manage the curriculum of what our women are being taught. We're not turned on by wigs and weaves and lashes and BBLs. We're not. The devil's in total control of them.
Total.
And they would offer themselves to us and we're supposed to accept it like that? Why would you lay with a woman who you know is under the influence of Satan? In contradiction to what the Quran instructs. It instructs us not to marry an idler. It instructs us not to marry a disbeliever or a hypocrite. These are instructions in the Quran.
That's right.
Believe in women, preferably chase women. But the thing about it is that we break our own rule. Once you break your rule, you come under the rule of Satan, Shaitan. And we definitely can't blame our women because they're sending us captured women.
Yes.
A woman that's captured by Satan is attracted to you so that she can capture you and take you back to her master. You're supposed to be strong enough to take her to your master, Fard Muhammad, God.
Yes.
But you ain't ever supposed to submit to a low frequency, low vibration woman, and we all have. But now we, like Samson, we got to regain our strength.
Regain it. Come on.
And part of the way to regain our strength is to stay around the blacks.
Yes.
The blacks. The black and the brown germ are always present. We have no problem with the with the brown germ as long as the black germ is in control. And this is why a strong brotherhood, somebody who's black, black identity, not need to grow or neutral. Because if you need to grow or neutral, you will be pulling over to the brown side or the weaker side of your nature.
That's right.
And when that happens, you will be dominated by a satanic force. And believe it or not, if we would stand up on black identity, and this is why in order to join the nation, you have to write that letter, the Savior's letter. And part of it is, I desire to reclaim my own. What happened to your own? It was stolen from you, taken from you. I want to reclaim it. You turn in your slave name and get a holy name with holy attributes.
That's right.
So I'm going to stop there, Brother Michael.
Man, thank you so much, brother. It was beautiful, beautiful. And I appreciate all the wisdom you brothers are sharing tonight. I didn't get to hear from Brother Trey, but we see you on the call, brother. Happy that you're here with us tonight. And you'd like to say something, you're more than welcome to before we get ready to wrap up and close out here. Pause. Okay. Let me know. Just click in if you like. So we want to thank you, brothers, for your contribution tonight in the discussion. And this is one of these kind of, because we're going to revisit a lot of the topics that we've been on, because we really just kind of like pulling the layers off of these subject matters, because we got to go deep, deep, deep into the psyche of the black man. We got to get into this psyche so that we can extract what is really us and separate what is really us from what has been manufactured in us. We have to gain control, and we have to overcome, absolutely. We have to overcome being, if you will, what's the word? Under the control of whatever stimuli the enemy puts before us. We have to realize that that's the trick. That's the modern technology, is to keep you occupied, keep your attention on things that will cause you not to have mastery over yourself. I want to master my appetite. My stomach cannot be the God of me. My lower nature cannot be the God of me. You see, I have to be the God of me. It starts there. It starts with your appetite. Then it just starts with your passions. So you just don't be running. You a man and you just running in and out of everything. Your woman will, as Brother Lewis pointed out, will never respect you if you don't have self-control and governance over yourself. You can't be begging a woman at her altar of her vagina, and then maintain your status as a real man. You can't be tricking, as they call it, out here spending all your money to win the affection of women and then expect for us to maintain the respect and the honor. This is why the whole thing is thrown off now, because you got brothers out here buying into that. No, the men are to lead. And we have to develop a strong enough brotherhood that we are unapologetically in that position of leadership, irregardless to the immediate backlash that we may get from anyone who objects to that. We don't have to be apologists for being what Allah put in us to be. The planet is in complete and total chaos, and it's by design. But we're in the season and the time of the coming of God. And that is to help to start the process of the reestablishment and the kingdom of God and a new world. And all of that starts within. Brother Nephew pointed out earlier and brought us back to that center. It starts in. Become the God of your own personal world. That's the one you wake up in every morning. Become the God of that, and then grow out of that, and then become the God of your family, then the God of your community. And then after a while, we join on with other brothers who are doing the same thing. And then we start to become the gods of our cities and our states, and then the world. And then we make our communities, wherever we are, safe and decent places to live. So I wanted to see if I could find this. I'm gonna close out with our little video here, you know, because it just speaks such volumes to what it is that, you know, we are trying to really inspire, you know, amongst our people. You know, we have to be doers and sayers of the word, but we have to be doers. Nothing more inspirational than being a doer, you know. And so I'm going to play this here, and then we're going to close out. Okay, hold up here. Here we are. If I can get it, Brother Lewis, I'm trying to pull it up. This internet is loading slower than Methuselah, they would say, or my mom used to say. Quite know what that means. Here we go. And it's slow today. Okay, so yeah, I'm trying to pull it up, but the internet is moving like dirt slow. So I don't know if I'll be able to get it up there, but not gonna happen right now. Anyhow, well, won't happen today, but anyway, check us out on YouTube. Check us out on Instagram, brothers. Follow us. Join on to this discussion with us wherever you find yourself. We thank you so much. You know, this is really a collective movement, and we invite all brothers, really from all backgrounds. You know, if you're leaning and desires to be a brother, because that's what this is about ultimately. And yeah, we dig into issues and things that we need to work on, but again, we're about solving the problem, not just discussing the problem, but solving the problem and being about the business of being builders and making our community safe and decent places to live. So I thank you, brothers, for joining our discussion. Thank our sisters who are listening, all of you who have participated in this program tonight. Look forward to big and great and wonderful things with what we're aspiring to do with the help of Almighty God. Thank you for listening. And remember that self-control starts within. Peace. Assalamu alaikum.